Well, all right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. It is definitely one of those days where the top is off. This is my first time taking the top off since I had this car in about a month and a half, and I just think it looks better with the top on, just based on the body, the way this thing is put together. I just think it looks better. But there's nothing like being able to pull the top off of a car like this because it deserves it. With my C8, my 23 Stingray, I should say, I won't call them different cars, as some of you viewers have pointed out. um, the Stingray, I kept the top off all the time. And I think it was due to the cooling on that car. I didn't have the Z51 package. I just had a base 1LT. And then this car has all the extra cooling. I mean, it has everything. So this is something that I think this car deserves to shine with. Now, I don't mind having a Targa top. You know, Targa tops is where it's at. Now, they just made a convertible ZR1. So, this is something that is becoming more and more popular, the convertibles. And over half of the cars sold were convertibles. And I think that just comes down to a person not wanting to deal with this. But, it's just a matter of preference, I guess. I prefer to see the engine at all times. And some people, they'd rather not deal with taking this top off for a few minutes. I just think it's worth it to take the top off for a few minutes. It's totally worth it. Let me shut this top real quick. The trunk, I should say. But yeah, man, this is kind of a special video because I've passed 1,000 miles. And I was supposed to go to a show this morning, but church was more important, so I went to church instead. Um, it was an hour drive, and I was gonna go, but I was like, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just go to church and not go to the show this time. I could have made it, but I would have gotten there late. It would have been wrapping up, so I said, nah, I'd rather just go to church and call it a day. Nonetheless, the 24 E-Ray, my 24 E-Ray has 1,000 miles on it. 1,000 miles, folks. This has been a completely different experience than the Stingray I had. I think the reason being is these brakes. I hardly ever clean the wheels because there's not a lot of dust, brake dust. But in fact, there is dust from the road that gets on the wheels. These are the upgraded polished wheels. I'm seeing a lot more people grab these polished wheels, but no matter what color they have, and they just look really good. The carbon flash metallic on here is just beautiful, and it's a sight to see once you finally get up close to it and the sun hits it. It's hard to capture at certain angles, but man, I'm telling you, this thing pops. It pops in the sunlight. All the workers are coming out. I thought they were closed today. But it really pops in the sunlight. And in most angles, it does look like just a regular black car. But this thing is just so gorgeous. Now, instead of oohing in this entire video, 1,000 miles, what's it been like compared to, because my Stingray before I sold it, I only had 1,200 miles on it. And that was over the course of about 9 months. I really didn't drive that car a lot. I've had this car for a month and a half, and I've driven it almost 1,100 miles. That's a lot. For me, that is. I'm no longer treating my sports car of choice as a weekend car. Now, granted, I only drive it on the weekends or when it's sunny out, or if it's a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Those are the days that I predominantly drive it. But I'm not going to treat the E-Ray as a weekend car. I'm going to treat the E-Ray as a great grand touring daily driver that deserves to be on the road. This thing is sick, man. So 1,100, almost 1,100 miles in a month and a half compared to 1,200 miles in the Stingray for almost a year. So I think, again, as I was saying before, I think it comes down to the cooling. I think this car looks better with the top on just because of the color. But I don't know. Taking the top off finally after over a month and a half of riding around with it on, it feels good, man. The open air, the interior is nicer on this one. I chose, when I got the other one built, I built it with just black interior. I had the GT1 seats. This one I have the upgraded 2LZ, so I have the upgraded interior. It's just a beautiful ride. Now, as far as comfort and feel goes, I can put this in touring mode and it feels just like the base Stingray, literally. But I have my mode programmed to, you know, pretty much be in somewhat sporty, but then also a little bit of comfort. That's the way I have my mode set up. So I've got the track exhaust, the exhaust all the way up to track. I've got the suspension halfway to sport, steering to sport, and the braking to sport. And that's pretty much it. It feels and sounds great, and it's a much better driving experience over the last 1,000 miles versus the Stingray. Now, granted, this car is powerful. It's no question that it's powerful. But I was on a podcast. I got invited to a podcast last night, and it was a lot of fun. I'll be getting on that podcast regularly, more than likely. But he asked me, besides the power, the gentleman I was dealing with, my man Keith, he said, besides the power, what's different? And it's almost hard to put into words because this is such a better driving experience than the base Stingray. It's just a better driving experience, and it's hard to put into words. But I think anyone coming from a Stingray, the car looks different. It's got these massive wheels on the front, 275, 305, 20. That's a 10-inch wheel on the front. And then it's got these 13s on the rear, 345, 25, 21, folks. That is the fattest tire that I've had on any car that I've owned. You probably can't see how wide this is, but sorry for my keys jiggling. But that is a fat tire. It's a fat tire. It's wonderful. So, I mean, if ever if you're a Stingray owner and you're thinking about switching to the E-Ray, don't second guess yourself. Just go full throttle with it and just do it. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find a car that is as close to the Z06 or matches the Z06 without buying a Z06. I get, in this last 1,000 miles of driving in a month and a half, fuel economy has been off the charts. When I fill up, I get about 350 to the tank, which is, almost a little bit more than what I was getting on the Stingray. But I've been driving this one more long distance, so that's probably why. But I'm really feeling the color now that I've had it for a while. I just kind of like everything about it so far. And these tires, these Michelin Pilot Sport 2s, Michelin Pilot Sport 4Ss, they are made for a car like this. They're made for a car like this. This car just grips to the road, and it's just such a great ride altogether. So, top down, open air, 1,000 mile cruise, it's been a joy, to say the least. It's been a joy to drive this car. It's just such a phenomenal car. And I just feel like if you have a Stingray, a dealer probably won't let you test drive this car, but they'll probably let you sit in it, and it's going to feel like a Z06 in the inside or a Stingray. It's going to feel the same. But if ever, you see an owner of an E-Ray, kind of sneak in there. Like I said in another video, I've taken 2 people for a ride. I took a Stingray owner. It's a little bit modified. His Stingray is a little bit modified. And then I took a Z06 owner for a ride. They were both in awe. The launch and the streetability of this car is insane. It's just insane. And it's something that you just cannot put into words. Like if you have a regular Stingray or you have a Z06, the Z06 definitely has that top end power. But to get the Z06, I've heard, now this is not me saying this is the Z06 owners, I quote, some Z06 owners say, in order for me to really feel and enjoy the car, I got to get it above 4,000 RPM, which means I got to really hammer down on it. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't have to really do that with this car because the all-wheel drive just throws you back in your seat at any given moment. Passing someone in this car is ridiculously fast, and I just think it's such an enjoyable thing to experience. So 1,000 miles for me, did I make $122,000, $130,000 after taxes? Did I make $130,000 mistake? Not at all. I wouldn't have it any other way. The numbers on the E-Ray are now picking up. I think GM's trying to get to 1,000 before this year is out. The banks on the E-Ray are closed for the 24s. So if you do happen to get an E-Ray, it's going to be a 25 if you're not already at 3,000 status. If you're not at 3,000 status, you're going to get a 25. And what that means for you is probably, you'll get the pick of the litter of the new colors. Yeah, that purple is going to be cool. I don't see carbon flash metallic in the 25 lineup anymore for paint. So I feel honored to have a color on my E-Ray that is not available anymore. That just brings value to my car. If in fact they have discontinued carbon flash metallic for 2025, I can't remember if they have. Pretty sure I think they did, but you can correct me in the comments. But top down, 1,000 mile cruise. I'm super excited. All you owners out there who are at 3,000 status, especially you ones that are at 3,400 status, you're at broadcast. 3,800, your car's ready to go. You just have to wait a little bit longer. But if you're at 3,000 status, don't give up. your day is going to come. Funny part about this is before I get out of air. Remember, I had been on the E-Ray list for about a year or so or more. And the dealer called me yesterday at the recording of this video, or 2 days ago, and said, hey, your allocation's up. You're number one. I've got a spot for an E-Ray. And I felt bad turning it down, even though I already have one. I started to just order it and then sell this one after, because I won't have it for 6 months. It'll be a 25 what I ordered, and then just start over and get the one I built. But I was like, that's too much of a hassle. I don't want to take the risk of losing money on this one. So I'm standing still. And I think he was kind of shocked, or he might have thought I was lying when I said I already have one in my garage. He was kind of like, oh, okay. And I said, well, I can give it to a buddy of mine. He's got cash too. So he'll buy it. He said, well, he's got 15 minutes to call me. I was like, I hear you, man. I hear you. But nonetheless, I'm going to get out of here. Top down, open air, E-Ray. Wow. If you're wondering what 1,000 miles feels like of fun and smiles and still getting good gas mileage, you need to buy an E-Ray. These massive brakes down here just do it some justice, man. It's just incredible how nice these Brembos shine on the Corvette. I mean, 15.7 up front and 15.4 in the rear. Whew. Just crazy. Standard with carbon ceramic brakes. It's a no-brainer. It's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed 1,000 mile conversation on the E-Ray. I didn't think I'll be making it this soon, but here we are. Leave a comment down below if you're waiting on your E-Ray, if you're thinking about getting the E-Ray, if you have a Stingray, if you have a Z06. Let's talk about it. This thing is gorgeous. This thing is gorgeous. Had to put the mic back to my mouth. This thing is gorgeous, man. And I'm getting ready to hop in that driver's seat and go have some fun before I go take those Round Rock donuts to my wife. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.